Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am trying something new today. I am filming with my AirPods just to see if maybe I can get better audio quality on my videos. I film with my iPhone and I got a new tripod for those of you who have been following along on my posts. The reason that I had not been uploading was because my other tripod was broken and it took me an obnoxiously long time to buy a new one. Anyways, so as promised, I am talking today about how minimalism did not necessarily cure my anxiety. I feel like on social media, it's very easy to overgeneralize and make these wild claims that this thing or that thing, whether it's minimalism or a fad diet or a book or whatever the case may be, that this thing can cure your obesity, it can cure your anxiety, it can cure your mental illness, it can cure your acne, it can cure your dog. Like, it's almost like a magic pill that you can take, and once you do this thing, then every problem in your life will disappear. And I just don't think that that's accurate. Joshua Fields Millburn, which is a part of the Minimalists, and if you don't listen to their podcast, I highly recommend their podcast. I am a Patreon member. I love the Patreon community, and I just find a lot of value in their podcast, which is why I pay for Patreon. But Joshua Fields Millburn, especially if you listen to the older podcasts, he talks a lot about how you can throw everything away. You can rent a dumpster, throw it all away, and you can still be miserable. Throwing all of your stuff away doesn't necessarily equate to happiness. It doesn't get rid of those, I call it like those demons. Like, I'm not advocating like exorcism over here, but those struggles that everybody has to deal with, and everybody is dealing with different things. So for instance, like depression is just not something that I struggle with, but I struggle with anxiety a lot. And I've struggled with anxiety for as long as I can remember. And this is not medical advice, by the way. Probably just need to put that in there. So after my first daughter was born, and she will be 10 this year, I had a lot of postpartum anxiety, probably the worst anxiety that I've ever had in my life. And I did not want to be heavily medicated, but I also could not function. I saw a behavioral therapist. I was medicated for a little bit only because we had to go on this trip, and in order to get me on the trip, I had to take some medication to not have multiple panic attacks. So when we got back, I was Googling ways to reduce anxiety naturally, and one of the things that came up was just decluttering. And it was around this time that I had found the Minimalist podcast and was listening to Josh and Ryan, and now there's TK Coleman, which we all love TK. I started down my minimalism path, and I would say that I have been pretty minimal for probably the past 9 years. I would say it took about a year to fully embrace minimalism, and I've had setbacks and I've fluctuated in the amount of things that I've owned. But as far as being labeled a minimalist, I would say at least the last 8 to 9 years. And that really helped. I'm not saying that minimalism does not help. Getting rid of your things and getting rid of this silent to-do list, which I think comes from Fumio Sasaki and Goodbye Things. I'm pretty sure that's where it comes from. You can correct me down in the comments if I'm wrong. I think that eliminating the silent to-do list, eliminating all of these things that you aren't using, freeing up the space, and getting rid of the things that are talking to you. Dawn at The Minimal Mom talks a lot about how your stuff is constantly talking to you. Like, your bed is like, oh, you didn't make me this morning, or the dishes in your sink are screaming at you to do them. Like, your stuff is just always talking. And so eliminating that stuff as much as you can really does take a mental load off. And so minimalism has phenomenal benefits, and I will forever be an advocate of minimalism. I think it's great. I don't necessarily get too much into the aesthetic side of minimalism, and I think that minimalism can become very consumeristic as well. Just throwing out all of your stuff only to go replace it with the new shiny minimalistic version, it's just another excuse for consumerism in my estimation. But minimalism at its core can be so beneficial, just like a diet can be so beneficial. If you're eating McDonald's and Taco Bell every single day, and then you go to a lower carb, whole food diet, you're gonna see drastic results. And if you're going from the standard American house, which, you know, some claim that has 300,000 items, and you reduce 80% of that, like, you're going to see a difference, and it's going to affect you positively, most likely. But for me, I have had such bad anxiety, and even after I decluttered all of my stuff, my anxiety did not magically disappear. Yes, I wasn't anxious about being surrounded by so much stuff, but I've also had a lot of other stuff that I've had to work through. Fears, insecurities, trauma, just a lot of other stuff that has also contributed to my anxiety. And so I would never tell someone that minimalism was this magic pill that will miraculously cure you of all of your issues. I think minimalism in conjunction with therapy, in conjunction with a good diet, minimalism with exercise, minimalism with silence and solitude, and having the space to reset, and just giving yourself that emotional bandwidth, and decluttering your schedule, and decluttering your phone, and saying no to more things, setting boundaries, going to church if that's your thing, you know, reconnecting with nature. Like, so many things on top of minimalism can lead you in a good path. And I don't think that any one of these things in and of themselves is probably going to be a magic cure. I go to church, I see a psychiatrist, I practice minimalism with physical possessions, I practice mental minimalism, I set heavy boundaries, I say no a lot, I love Jesus, I do all of these things. But I don't think that one to the exclusion of all of the others would magically make my anxiety disappear. And I will say that if you're already struggling internally, it can be really easy to feel like, well, if I just get rid of more, then I'll be fixed. And so it can turn into a form of Spartanism, where you almost can't hold on to anything because it feels, if you feel better letting go of things, almost like a hoarder feels better when they get more stuff. A Spartanist, which I'm not self-diagnosing, but this tends to be what Spartanism does, like, getting rid of stuff makes you feel better. And so the logic is, if I keep getting rid of stuff, even things that I need, then that must be what will cure me. And so I got into a really bad habit of, even though my house was highly minimal for 5 people living in 1,000 square feet, I felt that urge to constantly want to get rid of more and more and more. And I felt that pull towards, I don't want to own anything, like bare minimum, like maybe 25 possessions. And I felt like I was jumping off the deep end of extremism with minimalism. And if I was living by myself and I didn't have kids and I didn't have a spouse and I didn't have a job and I wasn't going to school, I don't necessarily think that an extreme version of minimalism is always bad. There are plenty of extreme minimalists out there, but I wasn't doing it for the right reasons. And I felt like eventually I was going to start pushing everyone away because I was doing it to try and self-medicate. And understanding the why of getting rid of your possessions and doing the hard work of, okay, I've gotten rid of all of my stuff, but I still feel bad. Why do I still feel bad? And if that's what led you to accumulate so much in the first place, really sitting with that and figuring out, okay, accumulating all of this stuff didn't make me feel better. Getting rid of it didn't solve it 100%. So what is the alternative? Like, what do I need to do? What does getting rid of this stuff free me up to be able to do to work on the mental side of it? 'Cause I am a huge advocate of mental health. I think it is super important. I think it's super important for everyone. But I know that within the context of the American church, mental health can really be seen as taboo. And that's super unfortunate because the brain can have issues just like any other organ in your body. And it's okay to not be okay. It is. But I think the cliche saying is it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay that way. And so minimalism probably will not cure whatever it is that you have, but it can be a great stepping stone in the right direction. So that's my encouragement to you is I will still be here making minimalism videos. I love minimalism. I think it's phenomenal. I will link my favorite minimalism resources down below. But I always keep that Joshua Fields Millburn quote, and I'm not quoting it exactly, but I always keep that in the back of my mind, that I could go rent a dumpster and throw everything away, everything in my house. I could just sit in my house with nothing but the clothes on my body. And if I don't work on the other things in my life, I could be just as miserable or more miserable than I was when I was surrounded by all of the junk. So this was kind of a chatty video. I hope that's helpful. I hope that kind of explains like what I'm working through without going into too much detail. And now that I have a tripod, hopefully you will be seeing more videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.